Okay, so today we're going to be learning about exponentials and logs. So I want you to look at these formulas over here. This is saying, so if we went, for example, from this and we were trying to get over to here, we would say a to the x equals b. And if we're trying to get from the bottom equation to the top, we would write log, and then whatever this number is, which is a, to whatever this number is, which is b, equals the exponent up here, which is x. Okay, so we can go back and forth, and I know that sounds confusing, but it's going to make more sense when we look at these equations with numbers, okay? So you see how this is written similar to this, except it doesn't say equals x. I'm going to write equals x, and I want to get it from this form into this form. So in order to do that, I'm going to look at this and say, okay, you see how there's a little a right there, and that is here as that big number? I'm going to take a look here and say, okay, that 2 then needs to be this big number, so 2. And then do you see how this exponent is x, and that's on the other side of that equation? So the other side of that equation there is x. So I'm going to write 2 to the x equals, and then equals b. And my b is here in those parentheses, which is 64 in this equation. So I'm going to say equals 64. Now here's the thing. 2 to what number equals 64? So this is what you have to do on your calculator. You have to type in 2 times 2 times 2 until you get to 64. So if we did 2 times 2, that's 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 2 is 64. Or times 2 is 32, and then times 2 again is 64. So this is what this is asking. What number can we put here when we multiply 2? So for example, 2 times 2 times 2. How many times do we have to multiply 2 to get to 64? So how many times in order to equal 64? So 2 times 2 is 4, right? This is also 4, and this is also 4, right? So now I'm just going to multiply 4 times 4 times 4. Well, 4 times 4 is 16, and 16 times 4 is 64. So how many 2's did I have to use? I had to use 6 2's in order to get there. So you just keep multiplying 2's until you get to that number 64 and count how many 2's you multiplied. So in this case, your answer is 6 because I used 6 2's. 2 to the 6th, 2 to the 6th equals 64. Okay, so same thing here. If I want to make this look like this down here, I'm going to use that small number, that's a, and that's that little 3. So 3 to the, I'm going to equal this to x. 3 to the x equals 81. So I just used this formula. I went a to the x equals b, right? Which is this down here, a to the x equals b. So a to the x equals b. So 3 to the x equals 81. So this is like saying, how many 3's do I have to write out to get to 81? Right? I'm just going to write a couple out. So we know, okay, well, 3 times 3 is 9. And you can just do this in a calculator. I'm just showing you how we work this. So, okay, 9 times 9 is 81. So we don't need that extra 3 at the end. So 9 times 9 is 81, and that's what we need. So how many 3's did we use to get there? We used 4 3's, which means 3 to the 4th equals 81, so your answer here is 4. Okay, number 3, we have to write it again to get from here to here. So a to the x equals b, so 5 to the x equals 3,125. Okay, so I'm going to write equals x here. So 5 to the x equals 3,125. And we have to figure out, well, what does that x have to be to make this equation true? So I'm just going to write out a few 5's. I don't know, it looks like a pretty big number, so I'm going to write quite a few out. So 5 times 5 is 25. 25. So let's just see what 25 times 25 is. So I'm going to erase these really quick so I have enough room. 25 times 25 is 625. Okay, so now let's try multiplying 625 times 5. So if we multiply this by 5, That's going to equal 3,125. So how many 5s do we need to get there? Well, we used 4 5s here, and then we used an extra 5. So we used 5 5s. So your answer is 5. So 5 to the 5th power, 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 is 3,125. Okay. So now, instead, do you see how now this equals a number? So we have log to the 4th of 1,024 equals 5. So again, just like up here, I'm going to rewrite this. Log a b equals x. So I'm going to rewrite that down here. Log a to the b equals x. And we can turn it into a to the x equals b. So it's saying all you have to do is write an equivalent expression or exponential equation. So it's saying, okay, go from here to here. That's what it's saying. So in order to do that, it's going to be the same thing as last time. You're going to take that little number, which is 4, to the 5th, to whatever's on the other side of the equal sign, equals 1,024. And that's all you have to write. That's going to be your final answer. It just says write an equivalent exponential equation. And if you did 4 5 times, so if you did 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4, that's going to equal 1,024. So it is a true statement. We're just rewriting this. Okay, now this one, if there's no number here, it's an automatic 10. So do you see how this was the original equation? If there's no number down here, it's a little 10. It's an automatic 10. So I'm going to write 10 to the 3rd equals 1,000. 10 to the 3rd equals 1,000. Okay, here this is going to be the little number, which is x, to the other side of the equal sign, to the 5th equals y. Okay, so that's how you write it, and those are your answers. Now we're going to go the opposite. So we're going to use these equations. I'll rewrite it down here. Except we're going to go backwards. So this time they give us something that looks like this, and they want us to get here. So if I wrote this as a to the x equals b, right? Do you see how my a is? So I'm going to write log, and then I'm going to leave a space and write equals. So do you see how the a in this case is down there? So it's that little number. So that 3 right there, that 3 is going to be down here. B is here. So I need to write my b here in parentheses. Well, my b is 27. And then equals 3, which is that equals x, right? And x is 3 in this case. So that's your final answer. Again, this is written in the form a to the x equals b, so we have to write it log, okay, log of a, which is 7, so log 7, and then b, which is 10, equals x. And do you see how we can write it backwards? 7 to the x equals 10, just like we were writing before. So you can go back and forth with these. Again, this is like a to the x equals b. So it's going to be log of a, which is 15, parentheses b, which is 11, equals y.